What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be taking you through my weight loss journey, the good, the bad, and the very jiggly, and share some of the things that helped me go from morbidly obese to relatively decent athlete. Stick around. Now, first things first is, how did I even get to 120 kilos in the first place? Nobody wakes up overnight morbidly obese. Getting to this type of size is the product of long, sustained, and cumulative weight gain. It's not something that happens overnight. Now, for some background, I was relatively active and playing a good level of rugby. Down in Australia, this is called the Shoot Shield, although I was more so in the second division / reserve grade, if you want to call it that. At 6 foot and circa 98 kilos, I was pretty adequately sized in order to play this level of rugby. I think being in rugby in a high impact sport made me feel like I just needed to be bigger, heavier, stronger, when in effect it wasn't really useful weight. My diet was not the cleanest at the best of times, and frankly, gym and sport was a massive outlet for me in order to address this poor eating. At the end of the day, weight loss or gain comes down to the simple laws of thermodynamics. Can't even say that word. At a high level, this is what regulates weight gain or loss, being your net energy expenditure throughout the day. If you boil it down, this just comes down to your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, and your active energy expenditure. This could be going for walks, doing weights, cardio, training, etc. This balance in my net energy in and out was dramatically shifted when I suffered what is known as a high ankle sprain or ankle syndesmosis. Essentially, this is when the two ligaments that hold your tibia and fibula together get ruptured. I had a grade 3 tear in every single ligament within my ankle, and doctors said it was almost akin to being in a car crash. This is a very common ankle injury in contact sports, particularly with a lot of twisting and people falling in at your legs, and oftentimes requires surgery if the bones are displaced too far. My specialist told me this was one of the worst cases she had ever seen. However, the bones were near enough in proximity that there wouldn't be a need for surgery. Now remember, I'm by no means a professional athlete, not making money off playing footy, still going to university, studying and working full time. So despite my complete lack of inability to exercise in my head, I continue to eat at my usual rate with a significant reduction in general activity levels. Within 2 to 3 months, I put on almost 30 kilograms or 70 pounds. This is a dramatic weight gain considering how I used to be a relatively good athlete, and particularly in the time frame in which it took. People often joke about, natty or nots and reference the truncated time frames by which people put on size, where it was damn near unbelievable how fast I became morbidly obese here. People barely recognized me and were very concerned. Yet rugby being a sport that accepts all shapes and sizes, I continued on playing. But however, to be frank, I was vastly compromised. I lost a lot of my speed, agility, endurance, basically all the attributes that make you an athlete. Now, I've always been a big fan of boxing and, combat sports in general. And my turning point was when I watched a bout between Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury. Both were about 6 inches taller than me, and at a minimum, both weighed about 20 pounds less than me at my worst. I was around 122 kilos at roughly 5'11", an NBA 6 foot. I knew right there and there that this was not acceptable anymore, and I needed to make changes. This, coupled with the constant sledging from my Asian grandmother about how I turned into a porky bastard, forced me to make a change. My first point of action was I bought a food scale and started religiously tracking my macronutrient intake on a daily basis. I was quite shocked at how much I could eat and still steadily lose weight. I was getting in about 3,000 calories a day with a high protein intake, much more vegetables, still not the cleanest food, mind you, and the weight was just melting off. This was probably up until I hit about 94 to 93 kilograms, and if I had to guess here, I would think I was probably in the high teens body fat percentage-wise. But I still felt great, and this was still a great area for me for athletic performance. Great combination of size, speed, agility, and endurance here. This was coupled with the fact I lost my moon face, where I looked like bloody Jabba the Hutt. Now, if I had to boil it down, I've probably got 3 or 4 key points that worked for me, and I'm sure will work for you too. Number one would be to buy a food scale and to use it for at least 3 to 6 months. People often think that it's a really tedious task to buy a scale and measure out every single thing you eat during the day. But trust me, once you've done it for around at least, even 2 to 3 months, and if you eat the same thing on a regular basis, you'll be able to pretty quickly eyeball food and know roughly what caloric breakdown of it would be. Then it's just simply a matter of plugging all this data into Cronometer or MyFitnessPal or whatever app you use to track your macronutrient intake. Personally, I prefer Cronometer, given it gives visibility over your micronutrient intake as well. You might be eating a diet that suits your macronutrient profile, but doesn't hit any micronutrients at all. At the end of the day, you want to be feeling good and feeling fresh. Number two, you want to be eating a diet that's high in vegetables and high in protein. Why protein, might you ask? It's the most satiating by far out of all the different macronutrients. And ultimately, if you want to be building muscle and having a clean aesthetic physique, you need to be having a relatively high protein intake in order to facilitate that contractile tissue growth. And remember, it's not just about growth. It's also about staving off muscle catabolism. If you're on a cut or if you're trying to lose weight, all the time on any cut you undertake, you're going to be losing muscle. But you want to put your body in the most advantageous position to maintain as much lean tissue as possible. And again, eating a lot of vegetables is healthy in and of itself. They're very micronutrient dense. I'm a big fan of broccoli, chicken, rice, and broccoli. I know it's a meme, it's all good. And at the same time, it fills you up much more so than if you have a junk food heavy diet. If you try eating 1,000 calories of broccoli versus 1,000 calories of pizza, one's much easier than the other. Number three would probably be to just have good sleep, consistent training, and progressive overload. Now, just like your approach with your diet, it's great to log your workouts and be disciplined with how you undertake your workouts. A lot of people say they go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week, but are they training hard? Are they exerting themselves? Are they even putting in any effort at all? There's a lot of people who go to the gym and just sort of dilly-daddle through a workout, faff about, and then go off and can't understand why they're not building a physique that they want or losing weight at the speed that they want. It's because they go to the gym and they don't work out properly. Their training just lacks the intensity to be actually forcing your body to grow or to lose weight. Another tip would just try and be as active as possible, especially during, what's going on in the world right now. It's very easy to just stay at home, sit on your ass. And if you're not consciously going for walks and trying to exert yourself, it's very easy to not really burn much energy throughout the day apart from your BMR. Making a concerted effort to go and exercise, go on walks, try and be active as much as you can throughout the day will really help you just burn more energy rather than just sitting around like a potato. And my last tip is probably just to look for options in your food where you can really cut back on caloric intake, whether that be through diet pop, diet sodas, anything like that, low sugar-free options, anything like that can really help you adhere to a diet model that puts you in a consistent caloric deficit. Because at the end of the day, weight loss or gain is about adhering to either side of a calorie surplus or deficit. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more. Cheers. Bye.